The humans had been members of the Galactic Council for exactly 47 years when the betrayal happened. It was not a sudden thing. It was planned in dark corners of space stations, whispered in languages older than Earth itself, and signed in secret meetings where no human representative was ever invited. Admiral stood on the bridge of the human flagship Resilience when the first reports came through. Her coffee mug still steamed in her hand. The morning had started like any other until the emergency channels exploded with desperate voices. The Empire had attacked 3 human colony worlds simultaneously. The Dominion had blockaded Earth's supply routes through the Nexus gates. The Collective had seized control of humanity's mining operations in the asteroid belt of 442. And the Galaxy Council, the very institution that humans had trusted for nearly half a century, had voted unanimously to strip humanity of its membership and declare Earth a rogue state. Every alien species that humanity had called friend, partner, or ally had turned against them in a single coordinated strike. Watch the holographic display as red warning icons spread across the star map like a disease. 28 billion humans lived across 17 colony worlds. All of them were now surrounded by hostile forces. The message from Council Chairman arrived moments later. His reptilian face appeared on the main screen, his forked tongue flickering as he spoke with satisfaction that he did not bother to hide. Humanity has been judged, declared. Your species advances too quickly, your population grows too fast, your technology improves too rapidly. The Council has determined that within 200 years humans will dominate the galaxy. This cannot be permitted. Surrender your fleet, dismantle your weapons, and accept permanent quarantine on Earth. You have 72 hours to comply. The transmission ended. Set down her coffee mug very carefully. Around her, the bridge crew waited in stunned silence. Some had tears in their eyes. Others looked ready to fight and die that very moment. The communications officer spoke first. Admiral, we are receiving surrender demands from 16 different species. They say if we do not comply, they will begin systematic bombardment of our colonies. Closed her eyes. 47 years of cooperation. 47 years of following galactic law, participating in peacekeeping missions, sharing technology freely, helping rebuild worlds devastated by natural disasters. And this was how the galaxy repaid them. But the aliens had made a critical error. They had studied human history. They had seen the wars, the conflicts, the endless capacity for destruction. What they had failed to understand was that those same qualities that made humans dangerous in war also made them impossible to keep down. Turn to her senior staff. Contact Earth Command. Tell them I am requesting authorization for Protocol Omega. The bridge fell completely silent. Protocol Omega was not a weapon. It was not a fleet maneuver. It was a single command that would activate every dormant system, every hidden defense network, every secret project that humanity had been quietly developing since they first realized the galaxy might not be as friendly as it seemed. Humans had learned long ago that trust must be earned and constantly. They smiled at alien diplomats while building hidden shipyards in the depths of gas giants. They shared technology freely while keeping their most advanced discoveries classified at the highest levels. They played the role of the eager newcomers while preparing for the day when that eagerness would be tested. That day had finally arrived. Authorization came within the hour. The Secretary General of Earth spoke briefly through an encrypted channel. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with cold fury. Admiral, you have full authority. Show them what happens when humanity is pushed into a corner. Nodded once and turned to face her crew. Transmit Protocol Omega to all human vessels, installations, and colonies. Authorization code Prometheus Rising. The communications officer hesitated for only a moment before entering the command. Across the galaxy, encrypted signals raced through subspace, reaching every human ship, every hidden base, every sleeper satellite that had been waiting silently for decades. The response was immediate. In the Empire's attack fleet approaching the colony world of New Geneva, confusion spread as human ships that had appeared to be simple cargo transports suddenly revealed hidden weapons bays. Plasma cannons that alien scientists had deemed impossible emerged from hulls that should have been too small to contain them. The Admiral barely had time to register surprise before his flagship was cut in half by a weapon that moved faster than his sensors could track. At the Nexus gates, the Dominion found their blockade dissolving into chaos. The gates themselves, which humans had helped design 30 years earlier, began refusing to respond to alien commands. They had never suspected that human engineers had built hidden protocols into the very structure of the transportation network. Within minutes, every ship near the gates found itself stranded, their navigation systems locked out, their weapons disabled by signals they could not trace. In the asteroid belt of 442, the collective discovered that the mining stations they had so easily captured were not what they seemed. The stations began moving, reconfiguring themselves into massive warships that they had never imagined. Workers who had appeared to be simple miners revealed themselves as trained soldiers with equipment that should not exist outside of classified research facilities. And on Earth itself, something extraordinary happened. The planet had always seemed vulnerable. One world, easily targeted, easily destroyed. The aliens had planned to use this vulnerability as leverage. Surrender or watch your burn. But as hostile fleets approached the Sol system, they found their path blocked by a wall of ships emerging from behind every moon, asteroid, and planet in the system. The hidden fleet of Earth numbered in the thousands, vessels built in secret over 4 decades, crewed by men and women who had volunteered for duty knowing they might never see combat. Today, they would finally serve their purpose. Admiral watched as the battle reports flooded in from across human space. Everywhere the story was the same. The aliens had expected frightened prey. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. But Protocol Omega was not just about ships and weapons. It was about sending a message. Opened a channel to the Galaxy Council. Every species, every government, every being with access to galactic communications would hear what she was about to say. This is Admiral of the Human Defense Force, speaking on behalf of Earth and all her children among the stars. You have betrayed us. You have attacked our homes. You have threatened our families. And you have made the greatest mistake any species in this galaxy has ever made. She paused, letting her words sink in across 10,000 worlds. You assumed that because we sought peace, we were incapable of war. You assumed that because we cooperated, we were weak. You assumed that because we followed your rules, we could not break them. On the bridge, her crew stood. In ships across human space, soldiers listened with fire in their hearts. You were wrong. Humanity does not forget betrayal. We do not forgive unprovoked attacks on innocent civilians, and we do not surrender, ever. She took a breath. You have 72 hours to withdraw all forces from human territory, release all prisoners, and present formal apologies to the people of Earth. If you fail to comply, we will not stop at defending ourselves. We will show you exactly why your ancestors looked at the stars with fear. The transmission ended. Council Chairman stared at the reports flooding his console. In less than 6 hours, the combined military might of 4 major galactic powers had been broken against human defenses that should not exist. His carefully planned offensive was in ruins. How, he whispered, how is this possible? His tactical advisor, a scientist who had spent decades studying humanity, looked at the data with something approaching religious terror. We underestimated them, the scientist said quietly. We saw their short and assumed they could not plan for the long term. We saw their emotional nature and assumed they could not be calculating. We saw their history of internal conflict and assumed they could not unite against external threats. He turned to face his chairman with haunted eyes. We were fools. Every lesson of human history should have told us the truth. These beings crossed the gap between stars in less than 100 years after discovering powered flight. They survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that killed hundreds of millions of their own kind. They are not like us. They do not accept limitations. They do not acknowledge impossibility. Slammed his claw against the console. Then what do? We cannot surrender. The council would fall. My government would collapse. Then prepare for war, the scientist replied. But know that it is a war you cannot win. The humans have a saying that I never understood until now. What saying? They do not get mad, they get even, and they have very long memories. Across the galaxy, the tide of battle had completely reversed. Human fleets that had seemed outnumbered and revealed capabilities that alien intelligence agencies had never detected. Colony worlds that appeared defenseless activated shield generators buried deep underground. Orbital stations transformed into weapons platforms that filled space with devastating fire. And still, Protocol Omega continued to unfold. Hidden deep in the archives of human military command, thousands of plans existed for exactly this scenario. Plans that had been refined over decades. Plans that accounted for every possible alien strategy, every potential threat, every nightmare scenario that creative minds could imagine. Now those plans were being executed with cold precision. Admiral watched as the Empire's Second Fleet broke apart under concentrated fire from ships that had emerged from the atmosphere of a gas giant, where they had been hiding for 15 years. She felt no joy in the destruction, only the grim satisfaction of duty performed. Her thoughts turned to the generations of humans who had built this moment, scientists who had worked in secret, engineers who had died without ever seeing their creations activated, soldiers who had trained for battles they hoped would never come. They had all known this day might arrive. They had prepared for the worst while hoping for the best, and when the worst finally came, humanity was ready. The 72-hour deadline passed. Not a single alien government met the human demands. Straightened in her command chair, "Very well," she said quietly, "begin Phase 2. Across human space, fleet commanders received their orders. Ships that had been defending territory began to move forward. The counteroffensive was about to begin. The galaxy had made its choice. Now it would live with the consequences. And somewhere deep in human archives, a document was updated. The entry read simply, Protocol Omega activated. Phase 1 complete. Threat assessment upgraded to total war. Human casualties, minimal. Enemy casualties, significant. Below that, someone had added a handwritten note in ancient script. They forgot who we are. We will remind them. The humans had been betrayed by the galaxy. They had answered with a single command. And now the galaxy would learn why some sleeping giants should never be awakened. The war for humanity's future had just begun.